Greetings, friends. Welcome to another episode of Sacred Spaces. And I'm Mary Ellen Jackson, Director of Religious Education at St. Mary Help of Christians Parish in Aiken. So today we're going to be talking about this beautiful space here, which is outside. You'll hear cars going by. You may hear bells ring. And it is right outside St. Clair's Chapel, so it's right on the campus of St. Mary's. And we have this beautiful statue of St. André Bessette. Now, St. André Bessette is a modern saint who, we have photographs of him, for example, and his relic is under our altar in the church, in the new church. And his relic is, of course, I said he's a modern saint, but his relics are there with some very ancient saints, namely the apostles. So that's just an interesting thing about our church, has the new and the old. Now, we're going to be speaking with Bernie Bessette, who is a parishioner and actually a relative, a blood relative of André Bessette, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the space before he came. So this is a statue, and just you can see that you can sit right next to him on his bench. And if you come down with your family or friends, you can see that behind me there's a plaque that only tells a little bit about André, but it's there. And it's just a beautiful space with lots of shade. And we certainly hope you come down and just enjoy some quiet, peaceful time here with St. André. And you can also go into the chapel or into Old St. Mary's and say some prayers there. So I see Bernie is coming now, so I'll stop here and we will get everybody settled here, and then we'll talk to you in just a minute. So here we are with the actual statue of André Bessette with Bernie Bessette again. So, would you like to say a little bit about those statues?
Hello, Marianne. I'm glad to be back. It's always a pleasure to be here next to St. Andre.
Yes.
St. Andre is a very special person, one that all people need to learn to know about. Mm-hmm. He was known as the miracle man of Montreal, and he's responsible for a lot of people being healed from any number of diseases. Mm-hmm. And that's where he got his popularity.
Right.
But he was a man of constant suffering. He lived in pain his whole life. He couldn't eat anything. He couldn't keep solid food down. Very weak as a child. And he went from Canada, town of the Iberville, Canada, to the New England states to try to work in the late 1800s. During the Industrial Revolution, when the United States had won the war. Still unable to work, he went back to Canada at about age 26. And the local priest at the parish church where he grew up saw that he was very faithful and asked him to go see the Congregation of the Holy Cross at Notre Dame College in Montreal, see if they could find a role for him. He couldn't read, and he couldn't write, sorry. And so the school didn't think they had much they could offer him, but they gave him a job as a porter. He said, they showed me the door. When I went there, they showed me the door, and I stayed there for 40 years.
Now, did he ever learn to read and write while he was there?
Yes, they did teach him to read and write, and that's when he started studying the New Testament, mm-hmm. particularly the Passion of Christ. Right. And he combined the 4 Gospels into one Passion, and then he supplemented it with some writing from St. Faustina, mm-hmm. and others.
So she probably wasn't very well known then.
No, but he apparently got wind of her vision.
That's good.
And so he was so fascinated when he would talk about the Passion. The people, he would talk for 2 hours, and people would stay there just bored that way.
Yeah.
Engrossed upon what he was saying.
Right.
But they said that they would stay longer.
Right.
He meditated on the Passion every night. He would spend entire nights on his knees praying for people he met that day. He had as many as 100 people a day coming through when the first oratory was built in 1909. And he would spend his whole day meeting people, putting them at ease, calming them down, really reaching out to them.
And I think that's our job too, to reach out to those that are having trouble and pain and sorrow and give them comfort.
Yes.
Even though we may not be the miracle worker he was.
He would put anybody at ease no matter what their intention was.
Right.
He had a lot of doctors and priests that found him as a hoax. They couldn't believe that a porter, a doorman could be healing people.
Right.
And one doctor, his wife, got very, very ill, and she had a bad hemorrhage problem. And she got to the point where she thought she was going to die. So she, somewhat angrily, said to her husband, "Go get Brother Andre." So he bit his pride and he went and got Brother Andre. And Brother Andre walked into the door in his home. She stopped bleeding. And that's the way he would respond to people.
Right. Right. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. So, also, y'all will have to come to see the statue. I'm glad they can't see what I'm going to tell you because you'll have to come to see it. I love the St. Joseph right here, who, as you know, I don't have to tell you, St. Joseph is holding the hand of Brother Andre. I think that's just this great.
It is.
I just like to
The
see
artist
that.
did such a fantastic job characterizing this statue the
yeah,
same way
yeah.
St. Andre.
Yeah, yeah.
would have
And
done.
then he has his, of course, he has his bag and his hat over here, which is just really, really great.
He traveled quite extensively, at least 2 trips a year down to the United States, to all the different states. His family, he was the 8th of 10 children. They all migrated south as well. And he had a sister in Providence, Rhode Island that he loved to go visit.
I'm laughing that Providence, Rhode Island is south. But it is. Just
Well, here it's south. And he would go visit her one year, and more people started to know him. Somebody told the priest that Brother Andre's going to be in town, so he would set up a meeting with all the parishioners.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was jealous and he didn't like it. Oh, that's good.
He
That's
would
great.
arrange a meeting, all
That's
parishioners
great.
would show up, Brother Andre would get there, and he says, "I guess I'll rest when I get to heaven."
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think other people have said that also, like Mother Teresa, that they won't rest till they get to heaven.
Right.
Plenty of rest. That's correct.
And
Well,
speaking
great.
of that, that's really where he's coming in now.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that because, as you said before, Brother Andre is still alive.
Yes.
He's still there. We can be his friend. He's our friend. He's our great intercessor, and that's just something that we need to share. That good news that we have these great friends
Yeah.
that are in important places.
Especially in this time with
Yes.
all this pandemic stuff going on.
And he's lived through that. A lot of these people lived through similar things.
In the late 1800s, close to 1900, the city of Montreal was under the tuberculosis not pandemic, but epidemic.
Whatever.
Epidemic.
Yeah.
Epidemic. And the school he was a porter for had 300 boarding students. It was for kind of the wealthy Canadians. They would send their boys, just a boys' school, to this college, Notre Dame College, and they would be educated in their faith and science and math and everything. And Brother Andre was seeing all these visitors. He was the doorman. Said people would come to the door, he would take them in, and they would tell them their problems. He would pray for them and heal them.
Right.
But the school was getting nervous. There were 300 boys, and they're being exposed to every disease in the
Right.
world.
True.
So they said, "You can't be in here anymore. You got to
Right.
go outside." So
So
across the road was a trolley station, a tramway station, and they took residents there just in the daytime, and we'd see a lot of people. At least they weren't going inside the college.
right.
And when that epidemic ended, he proudly said, "I didn't lose a child."
That's great.
So I'm saying, while we've got this epidemic,
That's right.
if anybody got a family member or a child that's potentially suffering from it or been exposed, or just want to be protection of St. Andre,
Right.
come visit him.
That's right. You come right here, come visit him, and to remind everybody that his relic is also in our church.
Yes.
And so you can go to the church also. He has a special presence there. So,
In the altar.
It's
in the altar.
Right. It's under. I do have a what is this called when somebody's watching? Audience. We have an audience here. So yes, the relic of André Bessette is in the new church in the altar, so you can't see it, but it is there. Yes, which is gives me the chills,
Yes.
actually.
He'll gladly welcome you. He'll put his
Yes.
arm around you.
Yeah. And right here even though the cars are going by, it's peaceful. Just the trees. I just think this is a peaceful spot, even with the cars going by.
It is.
Now, who decided to put him here?
Jack Devine.
Jack Devine. Now this is a perfect spot.
Jack Devine was helping
It
here.
was like the chapel.
Yeah.
It was original chapel.
Right next to the Adoration Chapel. Well, what's
Is it-
usually our Adoration Chapel. It's a perfect spot.
The first little chapel he built on Mount Royal was about the size of St. Clair.
Right.
So when we saw it,
Right.
we saw it sitting here, so that's perfect. He's
Right.
outside his shop.
That is perfect. That's perfect. So
And he's wearing his traveling clothes. He's come
Right.
to visit.
he's
we,
come to visit in his traveling clothes. I love
we
that.
made him permanent.
But he's that's great. That's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So good.
Good.
Okay. Anything else? Any last thing?
No, I'd like to thank you for giving St. Andre a chance to be seen.
I am excited. I'm really excited to spread not only information about him, but also about his connection with Aiken. And hopefully, people will just get to know him more, because I do know a lot of people that don't know who he is. They'll ask who the statue is, and I'll tell them, and they act like they've never heard the name.
There are a lot of videos on YouTube.
Right.
If you put in your browser, Brother Andre Videos YouTube, just write that out.
Right.
It'll show you about 10 or 15 videos, and some of them are fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Others are, they're brief.
Right.
Some are just a few minutes.
Right.
The one that I like is an hour and 27 minutes
Right.
long. But
Right.
it shows pretty much his entire life story.
So no matter how much time you have to watch, you can find a video that's that long. So, all right. Well, thank you for coming, and we look forward to you coming to our next video. And I just thank the Lord that we have this beautiful space here with Andre, and it brings me peace. I love it. It brings me peace to sit here. So God bless you.